Hey guys, welcome back to Beach and Fishing. Paul here with you today. And Beach and Fishing is my site to do with everything to do with the world of outdoors, basically fishing, camping, four driving, whatever it is that you like to do. Today we're going to talk about how to set the drag on a spinning reel. Now, to be honest, I tried to shoot this outside while fishing a couple of times. It just didn't really work for me. So I decided to sit in here where I can show you a little bit better without the noise and the fish and all that sort of stuff. So setting a drag on a spinning reel. So this is a spinning fishing reel for those of you who are new to the whole thing. Now what the drag is, in short, is you can see I've got a little bit of line out here. If I try and pull on that line, nothing happens. Now what that can mean is that if you catch a fish and the fish, pull of the fish, now this line is quite strong because of what I use it for, but say you've got a 10-pound line on there and you catch a really large fish and it can generate more poundage than what the line has, it'll snap the line, you'll lose the fish. What the drag does is gives you a little bit more poundage to play with and can help you control the fish, let the fish run, bring it back, so on and so forth. For the big ones, you sort of just tire them out so that they come in without much of a fight. But you can see there, if I pull on that, it's quite strong. You can't see it on a video too well, I guess, but I am pulling on that. It's not moving. To adjust the drag on a spinning reel, all I need to do is, most spinning reels, unless you've got a bait runner or one with the back one, 99 out of 100 spinning reels have the drag adjuster on the front here. Now if I start to turn that, you see I'm turning that little knob there, I can now pull on that line. So as you can see, as I pull on that line, it is giving out, and what that's doing is that is actually giving a little bit more. I'm just going to wind this in a little bit while I'm talking to you. That's just giving you a little bit more give on the line, so that if something big is pulling on it, it's not going to snap your line. It's going to give you a little bit more play. It's going to add to your line capacity, and it's also meaning that it's not taking that line to snap point, because if it goes to snap point, the reel gives out and actually pulls the line out. Now, as you may or may not have seen, as I reduce this out more, that becomes a lot easier to pull, and the more I tighten it up, the harder it is to pull. So the trick there is to set your drag based on what it is you're trying to do. Now, I fully admit that I've always been one of these people who just sort of set the drag as I go. Depends what I'm fishing for. If I know I'm going for something that's going to hit hard, I will set the drag quite loose, because that way if it hits hard and I'm not attending to the line while it does it, it'll run, and then I can go back and tighten the drag a bit and pull it in. If I'm fishing in mangroves and stuff like that, where if a fish runs, it's going to start to tang them out. I use this for chasing mangrove jack. It's a Penn Battle 3. That's about a 40 or 50 pound braid on there, because these things hit and they hit hard, and because they're in the mangroves, if they hit hard and the drag runs, you really don't want them to do that too much, because it will take in the mangroves, get you tangled up, and you'll get snagged and lose fish. So for something like that, I'll start to set it really tight. If I know it's out of the mangrove and I'm in an area where it's not going to run back in, then I might loosen it off as I go. Now, there is a school of thought to that it's not really great for the reel to be adjusting the drag as you go, and some fishermen will tell you should never, once you got your drag set, you should never ever adjust it mid-fish. They're probably right. I don't always stick to those rules, because if you catch something, depends on the type of fish you catch. When we go out in a reef, there's some fish out there that you catch and they'll hit your line and just sit. So you think, okay, that's fine. As soon as you move that line or start to retrieve the line, they just take. So again, if you got your drag set too tight and you feel them start to pull, you'll set it off a bit to give yourself a bit of fighting power. Now, if you did want to set your drag based on the dimensions of the reel, there's a rule of thumb. There is some rule of thumb there. That's basically set your drag to about 20 to 30% of between 15 and 30% of the line capacity. And if you're set to around 20%, you're generally going to be okay. So the way to do that is set your drag on really tight, and then say this was a 10-pound line. So 20% of 10 pound is 2 pound. So what I would then do is find a 2 pound weight this isn't quite right because, as I say, I've got a really long, sorry, something's buttoned up on my screen there. Got a really strong line here, but if I put that through, I'll put that weight on, and that weight is not doing anything. But as I loosen that off, eventually what's going to happen, and it's not going to happen here because the line's too strong in the reel I've got, but eventually what should happen is as you loosen that off, that should start to drop for you. So if you got this was 10 pound and I had 2 pound on there, eventually that's going to drop down. This is 40 pounds, so I'd need, what's that, 20%? I'd need about an 8 pound weight, which this definitely isn't. But that's how you can set your drag if you wanted to. So you would set it so that when you loosen that off, and you can hear the drag actually going when I try and wind that in. So that is what that's going to do. And of course that pulls in and out. So as I try and wind that in, you can actually hear the drag clicking a little bit there with just that weight. So that's how you set the drag if you want to set it to the right dimensions. Turn it on tight, put a weight on there that's around 20% of your line capacity, because don't forget, you should be matching your line to the size of the reel. So the reel size, that's why the reel size doesn't really matter. I mean, this is a 4,000 size, and I've got a 40 pound braid on, which is, to be honest, probably a size or two too big. But as I say, for what we chase, I use this reel for. Definitely want the heavier line. But there's your drag for your spinning reel. So turn that knob, turn it to whatever pressure you like, and excuse me, as I've said, as I fish, I get to know what drag I like for the type of fish I'm chasing. Mangrove jack, as I say, I put it on really tight and just hope to hell that it doesn't snap when I first get them. If I can get them out of the mangroves, then I can let them run a little bit. If I'm on the reef and I know what sort of fish are biting there, if we're trolling, I mean, we have trolling reels for that, but again, we would run that a little bit differently. Which brings me to, just quickly here, a baitcaster reel. Now, we're talking about spinning reels, but while we've got it here, we can talk about baitcasters. Now, baitcasters, you need to be aware that on a baitcaster, you've got basically you can have up to 3 knobs. You can have one on this side, mine's covered, which runs your magnets. You've got this one here, which is your tension knob. So that's how much pressure, how much tension there is on the line. That's set for casting and stuff like that. There's a whole other way to set your tension, which I'll do in another video. But the drag is generally this little star thing on the side. So again here, that's quite tight. I'm trying to pull on that. I can't pull on that. As I loosen this off, so again, just turning that little thing there. As I loosen off that little star, you see that in the video? It's a bit black, isn't it? But there's a little star thing there. Now I should be able to, I can pull that out. So that I'll turn that drag off really loose, but a little bit tighter, and that's a little bit harder to pull out. So that's how you set your drag on a baitcaster. Same rules apply. So if you've got a 10 pound braid, and take your mono your leader into account for that, but a 10 pound braid, put a 2 pound weight on it, loosen that off until it runs. Although I will say, with the baitcasters, I tend to work with my tension a little bit more as well, and then the drag I definitely set as I go. But if you want it to be set to the reel, you can do that there as well. Okay guys, that's it. That's how to set the drag on a spinning reel and the baitcaster as you looked at. Little knob at the front, turn it to whatever you think you can run away at the fish. The tighter you've got it, the less give that's going to have. So that's on tight again now, so the less give it's going to have. Loosen it off and it will pull out a little bit. Protects your reel, protects your line, stops it snapping, helps you fight a fish if you get a large one on. Hope that was helpful, guys. That's about it. Comment below if you, if you work your drag a little bit differently, or if you have any set rules that you use for your drag. Any other experiences, anything you'd like to discuss to do with drag or fishing reels or whatever, comment below, either in the post or in YouTube. Like and subscribe to my channel below if you can, please. And that means I can get more stuff to you. Okay guys, thanks for that. Chat to you soon. Bye.